Imagine if there were just four simple words that could change the way people saw you. Four words that would make you magnetic, draw people toward you without trying to impress, without pretending, without chasing. Most people spend their entire lives seeking validation from others. They try to win attention with flashy possessions, endless talking, or even begging for love. But the Stoics knew that the most powerful attraction doesn't come from what you show the world. It comes from what you say and how you live. And that's where these four words come in. Four words that, when spoken with conviction, will shift the balance of power in every relationship, in every interaction. Four words that don't just influence others, they transform you first. Before we reveal them, let's go back in time. Ancient Rome. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the most powerful empire in the world, had everything at his disposal: wealth, power, armies, status. And yet, he wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics were not interested in impressing people. They were interested in living with integrity, wisdom, and inner calm. And because of that, people naturally gravitated toward them. Why? Because in a chaotic world, those who radiate peace and certainty become like a flame in the darkness. So what are the four words? They are not flattery. They are not manipulation. They are not about tricking someone into liking you. The four words are this: I don't need you. Let that sink in, not as an insult, not as arrogance, but as freedom. When you genuinely embody the idea that your worth does not depend on the approval of others, you become untouchable. When you no longer beg for love, respect, or attention, you attract it naturally. Because the truth is, people are drawn to strength. And strength is born from independence. Think about it. The friend who is always desperate for attention, the one who needs constant reassurance, eventually pushes people away. But the person who stands on their own, who radiates confidence without needing anyone else's approval, that person becomes magnetic. The Stoics believed that all suffering comes from attachment, wanting people, outcomes, and events to go our way. But once you release that need, once you can truly say, "I don't need you," you unlock a rare kind of power. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you choose people freely, not from desperation. It means you enjoy connections, but you are not enslaved by them. Seneca once wrote, "He who needs riches least enjoys riches most." The same applies to relationships. He who needs others least enjoys others most. Because there is no fear of loss, no constant anxiety of being abandoned. And this is where true attraction begins. People are drawn to those who could walk away. People are drawn to those who don't cling, who don't beg, who don't chase. So the first lesson in this journey, understand the weight of these four words. Say them not as a weapon, but as a shield, not to push people away, but to free yourself. Because when you no longer need, you begin to truly choose. When you first hear the phrase, "I don't need you," it almost sounds cold, maybe even harsh. But the truth is, it's one of the most liberating truths you can live by. The Stoics understood something most people still struggle with today. Dependency weakens you. Every time you place your happiness, your peace, or your sense of worth in someone else's hands, you are enslaved. You hand them the keys to your inner kingdom. And the Stoics refused to be slaves. Epictetus, born into slavery, knew the pain of having no freedom. Yet even in chains, he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. He realized that external freedom is nothing without inner freedom. And inner freedom begins the moment you stop needing others to validate your existence. Now, imagine two people in a relationship. One says, "I can't live without you." The other says, "I want you, but I don't need you." Which one holds the power? Which one stands firm like a mountain? And which one is fragile like glass? The one who needs becomes anxious, controlling, jealous. They fear loss at every turn. Their love is poisoned by desperation. But the one who chooses freely, without need, loves more purely, more powerfully, because their love is not a bargain for validation. It is a gift. This is why people are irresistibly drawn to those who radiate self-sufficiency. It is not arrogance. It is not coldness. It is the strength of someone who could walk away, but stays out of choice. And this is where the paradox lies. The less you need someone, the more attractive you become to them. The more you cling, the more they pull away. The more you detach, the more they chase. Why? Because humans instinctively value what is scarce, what is not desperate, what stands on its own. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He understood that the moment you let your emotions be dictated by others, you lose yourself. And so he trained his mind to stand firm, to remain calm no matter who came or went from his life. This isn't just philosophy, it's survival. In friendships, in love, in business, the one who can say, "I don't need you," holds the upper hand. Because when you don't need, you cannot be manipulated. When you don't need, you cannot be controlled. And here's the most beautiful part. When you live by this truth, you don't push people away, you attract them. Because what people crave most in this chaotic world is stability. A steady flame that doesn't flicker with every breeze. You become that flame. You become the one they respect, admire, and gravitate toward. Because unlike everyone else, you are not begging to be seen. You already see yourself. The Stoics remind us that the root of all suffering is false belief, believing that we need what we don't. But the root of attraction, the root of strength is truth. And the truth is, you are already whole. You don't need anyone to complete you. So the next time someone disrespects you, the next time someone takes you for granted, the next time you feel the urge to beg for attention, pause. Remember these words. Speak them quietly in your mind. I don't need you, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in calm, unshakable strength. Because when you embody those words, you stop chasing people and start attracting them. Not through force, not through tricks, but through the natural power of self-mastery. And that is the heart of Stoic attraction. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself this. Why do so many people today feel invisible, unworthy, overlooked? It is because they have forgotten the simple truth. The world respects those who respect themselves. When you walk into a room needing attention, begging for approval, searching for validation, people sense it. They see the hunger in your eyes. They feel the weight of your desperation. And instead of drawing them in, it pushes them away. But when you walk into a room already whole, already at peace, already content within yourself, you become magnetic. Because everyone around you is secretly searching for that same inner calm. This is the Stoic paradox. You attract the world not by seeking it, but by being free from it. Seneca once said, "If you would be loved, love yourself." Not in the shallow, ego-driven way we see today, but in the deep sense of knowing your own worth, without external applause. Because if you don't respect yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Think about the strongest leaders in history. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, did not need flattery, did not need applause. He wrote in his Meditations as if no one else would ever read it. Why? Because he wasn't writing for fame. He was writing to strengthen his own soul. That is the power of detachment. When you no longer crave the spotlight, people willingly shine it on you. When you no longer beg for love, people freely give it. When you no longer fear being alone, you are never truly lonely because you stand complete. Now let's return to those 4 words. I don't need you. Do you see how they change everything? In friendships, it means you are not bound to those who gossip, betray, or drain you. You choose your circle, not out of fear of being alone, but out of strength in being selective. In love, it means you are not enslaved by infatuation. You don't cling to someone who mistreats you because you know your value is not dependent on their approval. In work, it means you don't sell your soul for temporary gain. You perform with excellence, but you do not bow to every demand just to be liked. You stand firm, you stand free, and that freedom becomes the very thing people admire in you. Because, let's be honest, most people are terrified of being left behind. They live in fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of not being enough. And when they meet someone who has conquered that fear, it feels like standing before a mountain, unshakable, immovable, inspiring. That is why self-sufficient people are irresistible. Not because they play games, not because they manipulate, but because they embody strength in a world drowning in weakness. Epictetus taught his students this principle. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop needing everyone's approval. Be willing to stand apart. Be willing to walk alone, because in that solitude, you discover your real power. So imagine this. The next time someone tries to control you with silence, you do not beg. The next time someone tests you with rejection, you do not crumble. The next time someone withdraws their affection, you do not chase. Instead, you smile, you breathe, and you whisper inside, I don't need you. Suddenly, their power evaporates. Suddenly, their control shatters. Because how can anyone hold power over you if you need nothing from them? This is not arrogance, it is sovereignty. It is reclaiming the throne of your own mind. And once you sit on that throne, no one can dethrone you. The Stoics lived and died by this truth. And if you live it, if you breathe it, you will discover a strange and beautiful thing. The less you need people, the more they will need you. The less you chase them, the more they will chase you. The less you beg to be seen, the more they cannot take their eyes off you. That is the secret the world does not tell you. That is the power hidden in just 4 words. I don't need you. Now let us go deeper, beyond attraction, beyond relationships, beyond admiration. Because these 4 words are not only about people, they are about life itself. I don't need you. When whispered to fear, they make you fearless. When spoken to pain, they make you resilient. When declared to failure, they turn it into fuel. Most of humanity lives enslaved, not by chains on their wrists, but by invisible shackles on their minds. We tell ourselves, I need success, I need wealth, I need validation, I need comfort, I need approval. And because we need, we serve, we bow, we beg. We become slaves to the very things we claim to desire. But the Stoics shattered this illusion. they understood something profound. Need makes you weak. Freedom begins the moment you realize you already have enough. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, wrote in his journal not about conquering kingdoms, but about conquering his own desires. He reminded himself, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Do you feel the weight of those words? Very little is needed. Not luxury, not applause, not endless possessions, but a mind trained to say, I don't need you. Now think of the modern world. Social media thrives on need. It thrives on your hunger for likes, your thirst for recognition, your addiction to validation. But every time you post and wait desperately for approval, you hand away your sovereignty. You make yourself a beggar, kneeling at the throne of other people's opinions. The Stoic way is different. You post not to be praised, but to express. You speak not to impress, but to tell the truth. And when applause comes, you bow politely and move on. When criticism comes, you bow politely and move on. Neither is needed, neither controls you. Epictetus said it best. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Read that again, slowly. Freedom is not in money. Freedom is not in fame. Freedom is not in how many admire you. It is found only in letting go of what you cannot control. And the irony? When you stop needing things, life gives you more of them. When you stop needing money, opportunities come. When you stop needing attention, people give it freely. When you stop needing love, love finds you. Because what is truly attractive is not hunger, it is fullness. Not grasping, but giving. Not desperation, but detachment. Let's make this practical. Imagine you are sitting in an interview. Most people beg silently for the job, desperate to impress. They need the approval of the person across the table. But imagine you walk in with a different spirit. You have prepared, yes. You show respect, yes. But you also sit calmly because you know, I don't need you. My worth does not depend on this. Suddenly, you are free to speak honestly. Suddenly, you radiate confidence without trying. And ironically, that very detachment makes you unforgettable. Or imagine you are in love. You care deeply for someone, but you don't worship them. You don't lose yourself in them. You love them fully, but silently within you, you whisper, I don't need you. What does this do? It keeps your love pure, free from possession, free from fear, free from the chains of dependency. That is the secret most people never understand. The strongest relationships are built not on need, but on freedom. When you love someone, not because you need them, but because you choose them, that love becomes unbreakable. Now listen carefully. This is not a call to arrogance. This is not about dismissing people coldly or living in pride. This is about strength, quiet strength, inner strength, a strength that makes you whole, so that every connection in your life flows from abundance, not from emptiness. The man who needs nothing is unstoppable. The woman who depends on no one is unshakable. And together they show the world the rarest kind of power, sovereignty. So repeat it again slowly with your whole being. I don't need you. To fear, to rejection, to failure, to doubt, to every chain that ever tried to bind you, say it, live it, breathe it, and watch how the world bends toward you. Because paradoxically, when you no longer need, you finally receive. When you no longer chase, you finally attract. When you no longer cling, you finally hold. This is the Stoic secret. This is the power of detachment. This is the key to becoming magnetic. And it all begins with 4 words. I don't need you. Let us step into the battlefield of life itself. Not the battlefield of swords and shields, but the battlefield of the human heart. Because, make no mistake, the greatest wars are not fought outside, they are fought inside. And the enemy? Need. Need is the silent assassin of peace. It creeps into your thoughts. It whispers in your ear. If only I had more money, I'd be free. If only I had their approval, I'd feel worthy. If only I had this person's love, I'd finally be complete. But here's the brutal truth. Need is bottomless. It is a hunger that can never be satisfied. Because the more you feed it, the more it grows. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Do you see it? You can stand in a palace of gold and still starve. You can lie next to someone who swears they love you and still feel empty. Because what you need owns you. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a man standing in rags, but calm. Imagine a woman with no riches, but radiant. Imagine someone overlooked by the world, yet unshaken. Because they have learned to say those 4 words, I don't need you. This is not just philosophy. It is liberation. It is the breaking of invisible chains. Think of the modern world. Your phone pings. A message doesn't arrive. A call goes unanswered. And suddenly you are restless, anxious, doubtful. Why? Because you needed something from outside yourself. A text to confirm your worth. A like to soothe your insecurity. A voice to calm your fear. But what if you didn't? What if you looked at the silence and whispered, I don't need you? You would still smile, still breathe, still live, still stand, because your peace is not for sale. Marcus Aurelius, writing alone in his tent during war, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are not gentle. They are steel. They are a call to arms. Because when you stop needing the outside, you reclaim the throne of the inside. And let's go further. When you walk into a room, people sense your energy before you speak. If you need approval, they feel it. If you crave attention, they sense it. If you seek validation, they see it in your eyes. Need repels. It pushes people away. But detachment? Detachment is magnetic. When you do not chase, people lean in. When you do not beg, people offer. When you do not cling, people trust. Why? Because you radiate something rare. Sovereignty. The aura of someone who is whole, not half. The power of someone who chooses, not pleads. This is why these 4 words carry such force. I don't need you. They strip away desperation. They cut the strings of control others try to pull. They transform you from pawn to player, from victim to master. And let's be clear, this does not mean isolation. It does not mean living without love, friendship, or community. It means you engage with all of these, but without chains. You love fully, but without losing yourself. You serve deeply, but without becoming enslaved. You give everything, but you never beg for anything. That is the paradox. The moment you don't need others, you become the kind of person others need. The moment you don't beg for love, love comes searching for you. The moment you don't chase respect, respect follows you silently. Epictetus told his students, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Let those words burn into you. Few wants, few needs, few chains. That is where true power hides. So, the next time life tempts you, the next time a voice whispers that you are not enough, that you must grasp, beg, cling. Pause, breathe, and answer with those 4 words. Say them with steel in your chest and fire in your veins. I don't need you. Say it to your fears. Say it to your cravings. Say it to your doubts. Say it until your soul believes it. Because the moment you do, you will not only attract people, you will attract destiny itself. The world tells you, fit in, please others, play the game. But Stoicism tells you, stand apart, please your soul, play eternity's game. Because let's face it, modern life is engineered to make you need. Billboards scream, buy this, then you'll be worthy. Advertisements whisper, wear this, then you'll be desirable. Social media shouts, post this, then you'll be loved. And so we chase, we run after shadows, we grasp at smoke, we scroll endlessly, not to connect, but to fill the gnawing emptiness inside. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you unplug from the illusion, when you take a deep breath, look at your reflection, and declare, I don't need you? In that moment, you take back your crown, because need is the leash of the world. And when you cut it, you walk freely. Think of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, commander of armies, surrounded by luxury, flattery, and temptation, yet every night by candlelight he wrote reminders to himself, not to become drunk with power, not to chase what others called success, not to bow to need. He wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The most powerful man in the world whispered to himself that power was nothing. Why? Because he knew that the moment you need, you are weak. The moment you crave, you are bound. The moment you grasp, you are already a prisoner. So let's test this together. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the one person you think you cannot live without. Imagine the one thing you feel you cannot survive without. Now whisper to it, I don't need you. Did you feel the weight loosen? Did you feel the grip weaken? That is freedom beginning to flicker inside you. Because here is the paradox. The moment you no longer need, you become free to truly choose. The moment you no longer beg, you become free to truly give. The moment you no longer cling, you become free to truly love. Need makes you a beggar. Detachment makes you a king. Picture this in real life. A man enters a room desperate to impress. He forces jokes. He tries too hard. He bends his personality to win approval. And what happens? People pull away. His desperation suffocates. His need repels. Now picture another. A man enters the same room quietly. He doesn't try to be seen. He doesn't beg for attention. He simply is, calm, present, unshaken. And suddenly, people turn. They notice. They lean in. They want to know him. Why? Because he radiates something rare, self-sufficiency. That is the essence of Stoicism. Not arrogance, not coldness, but quiet strength. When you whisper, I don't need you, you're not saying you reject love, connection, or humanity. You're saying, I am whole without you. And because I am whole, I can meet you without change. Seneca once wrote, he is most powerful who has power over himself. This is not poetry, it is warfare, because self-mastery is the only victory that cannot be taken from you. Think of the lives around you. So many people are enslaved by invisible masters. The master of validation, the master of fear, the master of cravings, the master of approval. But Stoicism hands you the blade to cut those ropes. It hands you the 4 words that burn the leash to ash. I don't need you. Say it in the mirror. Say it when temptation whispers. Say it when fear hunts you. Say it when the world demands you kneel. and soon you will find something extraordinary. The more you detach, the more you attract. The more you stop begging, the more you receive. The more you stop chasing, the more life flows toward you. Because the universe bends to those who stand firm, not to the desperate, not to the begging, not to the broken, but to those who are whole. And the Stoics knew wholeness does not come from the outside. It is born inside, in silence, in strength, in sovereignty. So ask yourself, will you keep feeding need until it consumes you? Or will you whisper the 4 words that set empires of the soul free? I don't need you. The world often teaches us that attraction is about performance. How you dress, how you look, how much money you have, or how many followers you carry. But the Stoics would laugh at such illusions. They would remind us, all of that is external. All of that is borrowed. All of that can vanish in a day. True attraction, lasting attraction, comes from something deeper. It comes from character. When you say these 4 words, I understand your pain, you're not just flattering. You're not just playing a game. You're reaching into the universal experience of being human. And that is why it works everywhere, across time, across cultures, across languages. Think about it. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, surrounded by power and wealth, wrote in his Meditations about the struggles of his soul, the weight of responsibility, the inevitability of death. He too needed understanding. He too longed for connection. If the emperor of the known world sought compassion, what makes you think the people around you are any different? This is the secret the Stoics left us, not hidden in complicated codes, not buried in riddles, but shining clearly in their words. People do not seek perfect bodies. They seek souls that understand. They do not chase wealth. They chase warmth. They do not cling to endless entertainment. They cling to the rare voice that tells them, you are not alone. And the beauty of these 4 words is that they require nothing from you but sincerity. You do not need to be rich or famous or powerful to say them. You only need to be present, to open your heart for a moment and to remind another person that their burden is seen. Seneca once said, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. Attraction, then, is not manipulation. It is not a trick. It is kindness expressed in its most powerful form, understanding. And the more you practice this, the more magnetic you become. Not because you are trying to pull people toward you, but because people naturally move toward the warmth of a fire in the cold. You become that fire, that quiet presence, that steady light. So remember, those who chase attention rarely keep it, but those who offer understanding are remembered forever. Attraction, as the Stoics would argue, is never about taking. It is about giving. When you say, I understand your pain, you are giving someone the rarest gift in the world, the gift of being seen. Most people walk through life ignored, overlooked, or dismissed. Their victories are taken for granted, their failures quietly judged. They carry wounds no one asks about, scars no one notices. But the moment you acknowledge their hidden struggle, something miraculous happens. The armor comes off, the defenses soften, and the heart opens. This is not manipulation. It is empathy, sharpened into wisdom. For Marcus Aurelius reminded us, when you meet someone, remember, this is a fellow human soul who shares in reason, in mortality, and in the same trials as you. By recognizing that shared humanity, you bridge the invisible gap between you and them. And in that moment, you attract not just attention, but loyalty, trust, and love. But let us go deeper. Why do these 4 words work? Because they touch the universal fear that haunts every person, the fear of being alone in their suffering. Think of your own life. In your hardest moments, betrayal, heartbreak, failure, grief, what did you crave most? Was it advice? Was it someone telling you to be strong or move on? Number, what you longed for was a voice that simply said, I see you. I feel what you feel. You're not alone. That voice is what every human being searches for. And when you become that voice, people cannot help but be drawn to you, not because of some trick of charisma, but because you speak the language of the soul. This is why Epictetus warned, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more and speak less. Listen first, understand. Then, when the moment comes, let those 4 words flow, not as a strategy, but as truth. Now understand this clearly. Attraction is temporary if it is built on looks, wealth, or status. But it is eternal if it is built on understanding. These 4 words, I understand your pain, are not magic spells. They are reminders of what truly binds human beings together. Compassion. Say them with sincerity, and you become a refuge in a noisy world. Say them often, and you will find that the strongest bonds in your life are not based on what you own, but on what you offer. Presence, kindness, and wisdom. And here lies the Stoic secret. People are not attracted to you because you shine brighter than others. They are attracted to you because you make them feel brighter, lighter, understood. So, the next time you stand before someone, whether a stranger, a friend, or even an enemy, remember the 4 words that can change everything. Say them with heart. Say them with stillness. Say them with the wisdom of the Stoics. I understand your pain. And watch how the world opens its doors to you.